announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down
It's a
in your
good day.
books,
A good day for
because I think you're going
OpenAI
to
and a
hear a
good
lot
day for
about
Focus
it
on the very long term.
in the future.
And artificial
New American
intelligence
company
is
that will invest
very
$500
big.
billion at least
Or Meta,
in
there is a model
AGI,
that
or
all the
artificial
values
general
are
intelligence,
exactly
Chinese lab calls AI, because essentially when
Of course, yes. There is a lot of hype is happening around the AI all over the world. And if you see the recent news about the Donald Trump, he's also investing a lot of money in the AI field, right? So, of course, yeah, this is a really good time to start learning the AI in the 2025, no doubt about it. But most of the people who want to become a data scientist or the AI engineer, they'll be having a lot of confusion or a lot of, ambiguity, like where to start and how to progress, right? So in this video, I'm gonna explain like how what's the roadmap to become excel in the AI or to become a data scientist in the 2025, right? So without any further delay, let's get started. Okay. Before we start, I just want to highlight these points. The reason why I'm highlighting, if you see the normal, social media and the Instagram and the YouTube ads, people are making a lot of, misinformation. Basically, they are providing about the AI and data science. So I just want to make few things clear here. So there is no shortcut learning. What I mean by that is like, if you see in some learning influencers or the course instructors are saying that learn the generative AI directly and be a person who earns money in lakhs, right? That is not true actually. So generative AI learning, directly jumping into the generative AI, what you miss is you miss the fundamental knowledge. You don't know like how to interpret the architecture, or you don't know the math behind the, I mean, basically the core concept for each and every model that you're gonna train or you're gonna work in Gen AI. So let's not encourage the shortcut learning because you will suffer later for sure. So just start with understanding the ML, DL, and then go for the generative AI. This is an ideal approach. Even though if you don't have time, I recommend you to invest the time and then go for it. Then go for generative AI. So let's not target for the shortcut learning or short term learning. Very important. Okay. And one more thing is like foundational knowledge is crucial. I just mentioned, right? The foundational knowledge is very important because if you know the foundational knowledge, you will able to grasp the new things very fast. Let's say the new invention is happening in the AI, you should able to grasp it very fast on reading that particular research paper, right? And always people, right? I have seen many people they focus on the depth first rather than the breadth first. I'll tell you the difference. What? Okay. If you consider the data science field, right, it consists of a lot of broader topics, so it is very much required to cover most of the topics in a certain time rather than stuck at one single topic and going deep and deeper into that particular topic. That will not help. Your aim should be you have to capture or you have to understand as much of as broader topics as possible. That strategy we call it as a breadth first search learning rather than and the depth first search learning, depth not search, sorry, that's an algorithm actually. Breadth first learning and the depth first learning is fixing at one particular chapter and spending too much time on understanding the more detail about it, right? That is not recommended basically. So breadth first is really required here. Yeah. And remember, in this AI situation, right, if you see earlier we used to spend like 3 days, let's say, for coding, right? 3 days for developing a code or building any microservices. Nowadays you can do it in within 1 hour, right? Because of the advent of this any AI, right? So in this era of AI, what is really required for a human being to make yourself in demand scale, you have to be very well good with the basics. I already mentioned here, I'm mentioning it here, the fundamental knowledge is very much in demand. If you ask me what is very demand from the human in this AI era, is nothing but the fundamental expertise, right? That is very much in high demand no matter what course you are in, right? And 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 the people, and again, in the people I have seen the YouTube ads and all, they're gonna broadcasting like, if you know the prompting into GPT and you're gonna earn good amount of salary. No, that is not true. Again, prompting even 10th class student can do, right? Prompting is like just giving the instruction to the GPT. That not give you lakhs of salaries. Nobody gonna pay us that much of pennies to us, right? You should know how to build an AI application, how to build AI. If you are a generative AI engineer, you should know how to build an AI, right? Then only that is the main role or responsibility of the generative AI engineer. Prompting is like sending some few instructions to the GPT. That is okay. That is also one of the roles. That might be the one of the roles and responsibilities. But the fundamental core idea is, if you are a generative AI engineer, build a AI for your business. Something like build a chatbot for your business, right? Understand the basic difference here. Prompting alone will not make you, bigger salary. Okay. And again, here are the phases that I have divided, for the data science or the AI engineer. And these are 4 phases. And what are the course that you are doing, what are the course you are trying to planning to pursue, or whatever the learning strategy that you are making, right? Make sure that these 4 phases are covered at least. These are the minimal things, right? In our course structure, these are the 4 phases or the minimal things that should be included. Just cross check it before taking any courses, right? And and if I talk about the phases at the high level: foundations in the math and the Python, understanding the Python and the exploratory data analysis, and the basics of the machine learning in the phase 2. And then the phase 3, like deep learning and neural nets, and the generative AI comes at the phase 4, right? Understand this. We coming Generative AI will come at the phase 4, right? And one more point I would like to highlight, right? In these phases, right, these phases will be helpful for yourself if you are planning to learn a data scientist. Of course, the course instructor might have some other index of course, but what I'm trying to say here, if you follow this learning pattern or this phase pattern, then it will definitely help for your learning. So make sure that your pattern or the learning plan, that should at least have some, matching with this particular plan that I'm showing. Okay. Yeah. um, Coming to the phase 1, here we can see the foundations of math, Python, and exploratory data analysis, also called as EDA. So when it comes to the maths, right, mathematics, right, you can start right from today itself. Okay. And what it requires, all the things, right, stats, calculus, and also here are the probabilities, right? I missed it. Probability and stats, probability, calculus, linear algebra, optimization, geometry, all these things you might have already studied in your plus 2 or the intermediate or in your graduation, right? Let's try to revise it first. Okay. Revising, I mean to say, like, you don't need to revise each and every single detail about each and every concept. Just understand what is what. Like, for example, you don't need to do math that you used to do in your plus 2 or the intermediate. Just try to understand each and intuition for each and every concept in the math. For example, right, okay, for example, how the mean works, kind of thing, and what's the integration, differentiation, maximum, minimum. And when it comes to the linear algebra, understand how matrix can be added, a matrix can be multiplication, how that will happen, and the shapes of the matrices, how it will help in multiplication and all. And understand the rank of the matrix, also the determinants, right? And the optimization, like, what is the objective function and the constraints, and try to solve one problem with the optimization, one or two equations with the optimization, for in the optimization. And again comes to the geometry, equation of the line, plane, distances, like distance between 2 points, distance between the point to the plane. That kind of understanding also you should require. This is, you will understand, of course this sounds silly, but this is really required, understanding the distance and all. Right, intuition is very important. Okay, in the mathematics, I'll give an example what I mean by the intuition. I'll try to explain one real-time problem. Okay. For example, let's say there is a one DEO. Okay. This is a very naive example, of course. For some people it does not make sense, but just understand, it's one of the example. Okay. DEO is a district educational officer who will be at the appointed at the district level, right? So in the DEO, under the DEO, there will be a lot of schools in that particular district, right? School 1, school 2. And let's say the DEO has introduced a new course called machine learning to the 10th class students. Okay, 10th class students. And he want to understand whether this machine learning is being understandable by the 10th class students or not in each and every village under his district. Okay, so how he can do it? Okay, the typical process how it will be, I'll tell you. I mean, statistical process. I don't know whether DU and all follow this process, DU department and all follow this process, but in business side, the process will be like this. Okay, let's say this is a IQ scale, intelligent coefficient scale on my x-axis, and the number of students on the y-axis. Okay, students on the y-axis. And let's say in our mathematics, along with the machine learning, you will be having six another subjects, right? Based on these subjects, we can know that the curve will be like this. I'll tell you what this curve mean. Okay, right. This is the area where the people have low IQ, and this is the area where the people will have high IQ, and this is the area where the people will have the average IQ, right? Most of the places or in whatever the school you go, the pattern more or looks like this only. IQ people will have more IQ people, and less IQ people will have less number of people, but the people will having the average IQ or the people are in dominant. This is, I mean, mostly it will happen like this only, right? So with this understanding, right, someone from DO office or the DO might do this particular test. Like, let's say, we will take the ML course marks in the y-axis, marks here in the y-axis, and the IQ again in the x-axis. So if this is how the people distribution is like this, distribution in the sense like the nature of the data for this particular thing is like this, then it is expected that the people who are having the lower ability will have lower marks, correct? And the people who are having the higher marks will have increasing the, the with the increase of the IQ, the marks also should increase, right? This is the expected behavior, right? If it is aligning, if the distribution is like this, if the marks are aligning with this pattern, then the ML, I can say that ML is easy for 10th class students. Easy in the sense it's okay. I mean, it's a normal for 10th class students, right? What if the curve not? What if the curve is something look like this, right? Like this, if it is, right, with the increase of the IQ, it is nowhere related. For the people who are having lower IQ are also getting higher marks, and the people who are having the higher IQ are also getting the higher marks, right? That means something wrong with the course or the test center. There could be some malpractice, whatever. We don't know the reason, but the insight is like that. The ML course is something wrong with the ML course for these students. So that kind of stats analysis, you should be able to do it. To do that, here I have not used any formulas, just the interpretation. I know, I mean, this is, by the way, you will understand when you try reading this PDF and CDF curves, you will get to know. I just tell an example like how the intuition of the math will helpful here. Okay, and yeah, having said that, you have to cover all these things. Once you are done with the mathematics, right, then start for the Python programming. Here also, the Python programming, you don't need to cover everything from the start. The basics you can target to start, like lists, strings, tuples, dicts, and sets. In the strings, you can. I mean, there are a number of functions for each and every data structures, basic data structures in the Python. Just try to grasp those and practice it, right? Practice it. And also the control structures like loops, like if else, no, sorry, loops is like for while, right? Conditionals like if else, right? Else if, those kind of statements you should be aware with. And also try catch, for exception handling. And once you're done and practicing on the loops, on the some basic programming, once you're done practicing those, and then start for learning the libraries. Start with the pandas and proceed with the numpy. So you can easily get this information from the YouTube. There are enough YouTube channels already to explain these things. Okay, just start searching in the YouTube lists in the Python or the strings in the Python, something like that. You can have a complete course, not complete course. I mean, this is the basic things you can cover as early as possible, right? And once these two things are done, then go for the SQL. And SQL also, you don't need to invest too much of time. Just understand the OLAP basics, like analytical processing basics, something like mostly the queries involved with the order by, group by, right? Order by, or a group by and joins, nested queries, right? Joins and nested queries, nested. I mean, these kind of things you can target it for. Okay, once that is done, then go for the exploratory data analysis. Here actually the application of the maths and Python programming will happen here. Whatever you have learned so far is can be considered as a theory, and here come the practice. So you have to understand how data can be cleaned, when to clean, and what is the outlier detection. I mentioned to write outlier here. Oh my god, yeah, outlier. Oh, let me take this again. Yeah, yeah, here I forgot to mention outlier detection, data cleaning. This stuff you can concentrate, and univariate and bivariate analysis and everything you can try to complete here. You can spend 30 to 45 days in this phase. Okay, I mean, of course it is depends on the individual, but more or less, right, 30 to 45 days is more than enough for this phase one. Okay, I mean, if you are dedicatedly, or if you are very much have a lot of dedication towards it, 30 to 45 days is more than enough. Once you are done with this phase one, understand the practice is also very important. You have to done enough practice in the ADA. Okay, once you are done with the phase one, it's a first achievement, of course. And let's celebrate, go to the movie or a party or somewhere, and do the celebration, and have a talk with your well wishers and say that you have completed the phase one in the, and talk about like what you have covered in the phase one and all the things. I mean, have some relaxation. Okay, and remember, by the end of this phase one, you should be able to perform exploratory data analysis on the data sets. I mean, there are a number of data sets in the Kaggle or any online platform. Okay, there you can download a data set and try applying the exploratory data analysis using the Python in your laptop or in your wherever you work, right, in your system. Once with this you are done with the phase one, now let's go to the phase two. This is the really important phase, and this is the main crux of the data science, right? The most hardest part of the data science. And I know many people will give up in this particular phase, but if you are able to crack this phase or complete this phase, I mean, that's really a great thing. You almost completed the data science. So this is where the most of the basics will come. Like you need to understand the featureization, what standardization, normalization, all the stuff, and the classification. If you broadly categorize the machine learning, there are three things, right? Classification, regression, and the unsupervised learning. And some people will say that RL, reinforcement learning, is also part of machine learning. It's okay, we'll put aside for now. Let's target on the classification, regression, and the unsupervised learning. So in the classification, there are a lot of algorithms here where actually machine learning starts. Actual machine learning algorithm starts. You can start with logistic regression and understand the math and the intuition and the coding behind it, and also understand what will happen during the training phase and what will happen during the inference phase. These things you have to understand for first algorithm you are learning. Okay, and after that you can also see for matrices and the hyperparameter tuning and the cross validation. These are common for every algorithm. Just learn after learning one algorithm. Okay, once you are done with logistic regression, then go for the SVM, decision trees, KNN, and Naive Bayes. These are the other algorithms in the classification. Um, it's very important. You have to go by algorithm. Whatever the algorithm you are learning, make sure you are writing the math or understanding the math somewhere, and understand the geometrical intuition, and what else? Right. Understand, like what happens in the train and the inference time. Very sorry about my handwriting. Yeah, train and inference time. And also try to apply the algorithm using Python, which is a very easy thing. When we compare to these three things, applying using the Python is a very easy thing, because here you have to leverage one more library called sklearn from the Python. You can leverage it very easily if you are done with that basic Python. So once you leverage that, there are direct functions that are available. You can just apply it. Okay, after that, right, once you're done with that, you can come to the regression. And once you are complete this, you understand the intuition for each and every algorithm, you can easily pick up the regressions also, like linear regression. SVR is the another variant of SVM in the regression side, and there is also decision tree regression will be there, KNN regression will be there. Those things will be will come under the regression. You can have it. I mean, you can learn it, understand whatever the algorithm you are learning. Just try to note these things in your notebook and also try to practice it. Very much important, right? For learning, after learning each every algorithm, you have to practice in this way. And also performance matrices, there could be different performance matrices for regression. You have to learn those as well. And once you are done with this, I forgot to mention here, there is one more important concept called SGD and GD and SGD. So you have to learn these things as well. Once you learn these things, then go for the ensemble learning. And here the random forest and XGBoost are important. And after learning these things, you are done with supervised machine learning. Okay, you are done with supervised machine learning. Now come for the unsupervised learning. Here also you don't need to spend too much of time. Just understand the k-means plus plus and the dbscan and the recommendation systems, how the recommendation system will be, I mean, how recommendation system can be built and what is the math behind it. Understand those basics here. Once you're done with this, you have to practice a lot. For every algorithm you are learning, you have to practice it. Practice is very much required. So you can spend, like, 60 days to 90 days here, because this is a very fundamental area in the data science, right? You have to spend 60 days to 90 days here. Once you are done with it, you are done with phase 2, which is a very great achievement, to be frank. So by the end of this particular phase 2, you can perform the EDA featureization, and you can train the models and compare the models, which model is working better, which model is not working better, and why that particular model is not working. That kind of intuition and understanding you will have it, right? uh yeah, I don't know why this. Yeah. And let's go to the phase 3 again. In the phase 3, once you're done with the machine learning, leveraging the deep learning is not that much challenging, trust me. Because most of the basics and understanding, core understanding, will be covered in the machine learning. So here you have to learn this multi-layer perceptron and multi-layer perceptron, MLP, we call it as, and the back propagation. Of course, this is the theoretical concept, but still this is required. It's required to know. And the different optimizers in the deep learning and the activation functions and dropout layer, pooling, all these things you should able to pick up. Okay, and here in the from the Python side, you have to pick up the frameworks called TensorFlow, Keras, and the Torch. Yeah, these are the frameworks that supports the deep learning. You can leverage it very easily when you have. I mean, by the end of the phase 2 itself, you will be very much exposure towards the Python, right? So you can easily leverage these things. And when it comes to the architectures in the classical deep learning, right? There are convolution neural nets, RNNs, and LSTMs, and also in convolution neural nets or CNNs, there are 1D, 2D, 3D, and these are LSTMs for sequences. And this is the transformer, which is a very much important thing. Of course, most of the GPT, or nowadays we have seen, right, GPT, Gemini, all those things are, you know evolved because of the transformer architecture itself, of course. And a new architecture is also been published by the Google nowadays. Yeah, Google nowadays. So yeah, but the evolution what we have seen, right, the speed up evolution in the AI, that was happened mostly because of these transformers. And it's worthwhile for spending some time on this transformer architecture and understand the math behind it and training the transformer and understanding the BERT. These things are required here. And embeddings also you can learn. What are the different embeddings. You can start with word to vec, and also you can understand sentence transformer or the tokenizations, many things actually. Sentence transformer, these are all small topics. Tokenizers, different tokenizers are there in the transformer. Here itself you will able to understand. So just try to grasp these things and spend at least, 30 days to 45 days of time here. Okay, once you're done with the phase 3, you can call yourself as a data scientist, of course. getting the job is a different thing. I'll make a separate video, like if you're a fresher, like how to get a job as a data scientist. I'll make a separate video. If I cover it here, it will take a lot of time. It will kill, right? It will kill a lot of time. So for now, I'll just scope it for the index, training index only. And now, yeah, by the end of the phase 3, it's a great achievement. You can call yourself as a data scientist, and right, by this time you know how to train that image data, audio data, video data, and you know like you can build the applications using the deep learning. Okay, so this is a great achievement in the phase 3, and you can take break, like 1 or 2 days, and have some fun. And again, let's start with the generative AI. So here, actual phase 4 will come. This is where a lot of hype is going on, and a lot of people are like misguiding to the aspirants. So I don't want to misguide anyone, to be frank, right? So after letting the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 only, it's very much required to come for the phase 4. So here you can spend some time on GANs, generative adversarial networks, and the variational autoencoders. These are theoretical topics you can understand. Of course, the implementation is also there, but try to understand the architecture level, what happens in the GANs and variational autoencoders and all. And also try understanding the large language models, how what is the infrastructure, I mean, what's the underlying architecture behind it. Example for large language models are ChatGPT. Why I'm saying ChatGPT again and again? Because most of the people are aware with ChatGPT. And also Llama from Meta. This is a Meta of Facebook, right? Facebook released the Llama. This is open source. You can take this model and fine tune it, learn fine tuning and the prompting using the RAG. When it comes to RAG, you need to understand the vector DB, all the stuff. And this is a simple concepts. You can understand it. And the frameworks, right? Frameworks. You should learn one of these frameworks. I recommend, if you learn one framework, leveraging the other framework is very easy. Start with LangChain and Crew AI, and LineGraph is also very important. There are a number of frameworks are coming, but at least start with one of these things. I recommend you to start with LangGraph or the Crew AI. So basically, this is the agentic frameworks. So you can build the agents, right? Agents. People are talking a lot about agents, right? Tech giants, many tech giants are talking about the agents, AI agents. So these are such AI agentic framework you can learn, and you can create a AI application. AI application. Okay, and this is all about the generative AI. Of course, these are very minimal topics I'm talking about. If you know these things, right, what are the phase you consider, if you know these things, you can leverage your learning to whatever way you want. Understand that some courses will have too much details about in one particular area, but that's okay. What I was showing in this video are like the basics. If you are good with this minimal topics, you can easily understand the further topics very easily. Okay, hope you get my point. And once the phase 4 is done, you are ready to, you are a generative data scientist. Having said that, if you have done enough practice, again I'm saying the practice is very important. Okay, and once you get the job into the generative AI, of course, yeah, before we go there, like this is one of the greatest achievement. You are a generative AI engineer or the data scientist. Understand one thing: if you claim yourself as a generative AI engineer, gen AI engineer, or a data scientist or ML engineer, whatever, okay, industry will expect you to solve every problem in the space of AI. Okay, you cannot say that I'm an ML engineer, I don't know gen AI. Okay, that will give a negative impression, because see, they are paying that much of high packages because understand they're believing that you can contribute many things to their business using the AI. So that is why I'm saying, like, you have to go through all the phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Okay, the industry expectation is like that, right? So once you get into the job, right, once you're getting to the job, while doing the job, you have to, it is very much highly recommended to learn these things also, right? So this is like a real time experience. Once you get into the job, you can learn these things, not before going to the job, after getting the job. or after you transition, after your successful transition of your career into the data science, then you can start learning these things. What are those? Like backend in the software engineering. Software engineering is really required. You need to understand the backend and the cloud technologies like AWS or Azure or some any other cloud technologies, and the REST APIs also you should know how to build the REST APIs using the Python. There are frameworks like Fast API, Flask, right? Using these frameworks, how you can develop the REST APIs. And also the graph DBs also, it's very much important for a data scientist to have knowledge on, like Neo4j is one such graph database, or Tiger Graph. So why graph databases? There is a concept called knowledge graph. Sometimes we have to build a knowledge graph from the knowledge base that particular business has. So once that knowledge graph is created, we have to save that into the graph DB. So that is really required once you get into the job. Okay. And when it comes to the operationalization, you build your service, Python service, right? Using Python, that could be a microservice, right? That microservice you need to convert into the Docker. I mean, you have to Dockerize it. You need to Dockerize it. Once the Dockerization is done, you have to deploy it to the Kubernetes environment. For that, you need to understand what's Docker and what Kubernetes. And if you want to debug something was happened in the higher environments like production or the QA environments, right? Most of the companies has this microservice architecture. You should be able to understand this, right? So yeah, having said that, right? If you are um, you know targeted to know all these things, you are already beyond the what is required. You can target for any company, you can target for any country also. If you have this much of knowledge, you covered all 360 degrees in the data science and AI field. And having said that, if you are very good at the core knowledge, you will also able to grasp the new things, or new things that are coming into the industry from the AI. Okay, there is a lot of active research is happening. So yeah, let's start learning from this day itself. In this 2025, let's target to be a AI engineer. All the very best. Happy learning. In case if you have any question or any career counseling you would require, comment down below. I'm gonna address the comments as early as possible. Happy learning. Bye bye. See you in the next video.